Hello, everyone. As we know, we have been studying about the Unit 4. As per Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Unit 4 consists of two parts. The first part is stress distribution in soil, and second is the shear strength. So stress distribution in soil we have already completed. So today we shall begin shear strength. Let us see what is shear strength. Shear strength of a soil is the maximum internal shear resistance to applied shearing forces. It is a shear resistance, right? Whenever we are going to apply any shear forces, which the forces may be due to the structure load, right? So normally shear strength depends upon the following parameters. How the soil creates the shear strength, right? So the first point, shear strength means shear resistance, right? So resistance due to the interlocking of the particles. One particles may interlock with the other particles and cause the shear strength. The second part we can see frictional resistance between individual soil grains, which may be sliding frictions or rolling friction or both. The particles may slide to each other, may have rubbing properties or sliding properties or rolling properties or both, right? So that means individual soil grains. So this is called as frictional resistance. Next, we can see adhesion between soil particles or cohesion. So cohesive properties also be there. That means two particles may have sticking properties, or we can say two particles may have rubbing properties or sliding properties or rolling properties, right? And the particles may interlock to each other. Like that also we can say. So for granular soils, what it says, it may be from the first two sources. In case of cohesionless soil or sandy soil, or that is also called as granular soils, the first two may be possible. That means interlocking of particles and the frictional resistance, right, in between the individual grains, which may be due to the sliding or rolling or maybe both. In case of cohesive soil, the second and third may be possible. The second and third means the frictional resistance as well as the adhesion. That means the adhesion between the soil particles or cohesions. This may be possible. So cohesion means sticking properties. So the second and third may be possible in the cohesive soil. Highly plastic clays from third source alone. The soil is suppose highly plastic. It comes under the high plastic categories. In that case, it is possible only in the third category may be possible. Most natural soils deposits are partly cohesive and partly granular soils. We can see in our field, the soil has both the properties, the cohesive as well as the granulars, because both are mixed together. So this will fall in second of the three categories. That means the friction resistance will be possible. Slopes of hills or mountains, canals, man-made cuts and fills remain stable only if the shear strength of material of which they are composed is adequate. So you can see why landslide occurs, why slope failures occurs, because the shear stresses are going to be developed, right? That shear stresses may be definitely more than the shear strength of the soil, right? And shear strength is only due to the cohesion and angle of shearing resistance or frictions. Now we can see what are the various types of shear test. We should know that whenever we carry out the shear test, in that case we find out the shear strength parameters. The shear strength parameters are the cohesion and angle of shearing resistance. So for this, many tests are there. You can see that triaxial shear test, direct shear test, unconfined compression test, and Venn shear test. So this triaxial shear test, direct shear test, and unconfined compression test, these three tests we can perform in the laboratory, whereas Venn shear test can be performed in the laboratory as well as in the field also. So now we shall begin triaxial shear test, and today in our today lecture we shall talk about the triaxial shear test in details. So triaxial shear test, normally the triaxial shear test apparatus consist of 5 main parts. The first one is the triaxial sail. The second is the load frame. I will show all these parameters, all the parts by figure also. So triaxial sail, load frame, constant sail pressure system, pore water pressure measuring system or pore water pressure measuring device. And the next one is the volume changes measurement system. So these are the 5 components which we can see in the triaxial shear test apparatus. So what is our target? We have to find out the cohesion and angle of shearing resistance in this test, right? And you have already studied about the Morse circles. So we have to also draw the Morse circle. And for drawing the Morse circle, as we know, we need the values sigma 3, minor principal stress, and sigma 1, the major principal stress. So once you know the major principal stress and minor principal stress, sigma 3 and sigma 1, at least for 3 samples, we can draw the Morse circles, and with the help of Morse circle, we can find out the shear strength parameters, which are cohesion and angle of shearing resistance. So now we shall see the instruments. We can see this instrument. This instrument is available in our lab, and you can see the diagram of the triaxial shear test apparatus. And this is the triaxial sail. This is the triaxial sail. And here also it has been shown, this is the triaxial sail, right? So you can see here, all these points are written here. So axial load, air valves, Perpex cylinder. This is a Perpex, made up of Perpex. So you can see this, this is made up of Perpex. So loading cap, rubber O-ring is also used for in case of sample installation, porous disc, then rubber membrane and rubber O-ring, both we are going to use while preparing the soil samples. Cell filled with water, porous disc is there at the bottom. Again, rubber O-ring also we are using at the bottom and the top both. Cell base seal, this is called as, and you can see this is called as cell pressure constant. So as I told you, these are the called, we have to maintain the cell pressure sigma 3 in the cell using this cell pressure constant instruments, right? So either you can use this one or this one we can use. So base cap is also there. Pedestal, this part, the elevated part is called as pedestals. And you can see 2 drainage valves are there. So all the valves are also there. The one is the cell pressures. One valves we can use for the to maintain the cell pressure in the triaxial cell. And another 2 valves you can see. One is the drainage valves. These drainage valves is connected with the flexible tube. Here it is written top drainage connections via flexible tube. And this is connected with the drainage burette, right? These valves, drainage valves. And another is the pore pressure measuring instrument. Actually, this pipeline, this tube is connected with the pore pressure measuring instruments. You can see here, this is a pore pressure measuring instruments. And this either you can use this or this to maintain the cell pressure constants. That is nothing but sigma 3. And this is the load frame. So all things we shall discuss one by one. So this is all about the triaxial cell pressures, about the triaxial cell. This is called as triaxial cell. It is written here. Now we shall see triaxial shear test apparatus with pore water pressure measurement device. We can see here, this is the pore water pressure measuring device, right? So this is connected with the triaxial cell. The pore water pressure in the sample is measured by attaching to the device. So this is pore water pressure measuring instruments. We can attach with the triaxial cell. Device consists of null indicator. Here you can see this is the null indicator. Here the diagram has also been shown in magnified forms. This is the pore pressure measuring instruments. We shall also discuss about this in details. So this is the pore pressure measuring instruments. So device consists of null indicator in the form of a U tube. This is a null indicator. And finally, it is connected with the triaxial cell. So you can see here, this is connected with the triaxial cell, pore pressure measuring instrument. This tube, the rubber tube is going to be connected with the null indicator, U tube, in which no flow condition is maintained. No flow condition means, suppose once you are going to measure the pore water pressure, in that case, the mercury in this tube will go up, right? So we have to maintain, always we have to maintain the balance. We have to maintain the horizontal. That means no flow condition. That can be measured, that can be maintained by using the control cylinders. We shall see how we can maintain. So the null indicator is partially filled with the mercury. So here, actually, this is in the U tube, null indicator here. A control cylinder is filled with water. So this is a control cylinder. Here the control cylinder is there. So this is filled with water. So now we can see any change in pore water pressure in the sample cause movement of mercury level in the null indicator. So whenever we are going to measure the pore water pressures, definitely the mercury in this U tube will increase. Here it will increase, right? But we have to maintain always equal level. In that case, what we shall do? We shall use the control cylinder. So no flow condition is maintained by means of control cylinder. Thus mercury level in the two limbs remain constant. So this is filled with water. You can see the valves. This is connected, one valve is here. Another valve is connected with the pressure gauge. And the next valve is connected with the manometer. And another, this valve you can see, this is connected with the control cylinders. So what we are going to do in the beginning, at the time of measuring the pore pressure, we have to close these valves. We have to also close these valves, right? But these valves and this valve will remain open. So once the pore pressure is going to increase in this U tube, this mercury level will increase. So we have to maintain it in constant level. So for that, what we shall do, we shall loosen this handle. We shall loosen the handle so that the pressure will be, pressure is going to accumulate in this control cylinder, right? So piston, we have to keep it outside by rotating it, and the pressure is going to accumulate in the control cylinder itself, right? So this process will continue. The pressure applied by the control cylinder. So that means once the pore pressure measurement is complete, in that case, what we used to do, we close these valves, right? So we can close these valves, and either you can use the manometers or the pressure gauge. Suppose you want to measure the pressure gauge to determine the pore water pressure. So in that case, what we shall do, we shall close these valves, and we shall also close these valves, and then we shall open the pressure gauge. So if you are going to open these valves, so in that case, what we shall do, we shall tighten it, because already pressure is accumulated in these control cylinders. So if you are going to tighten it by after rotation, the pressure is going to be released or pressure is going to be measured by the pressure gauge. So whatever the pressure you are going to measure with the help of pressure gauge or using the manometer, that is the pore pressures. Now we can see we can also measure the volume changes measurements. So whenever we are going to carry out the experiments, the soil is going to consolidate. So how much volume is going to change, that also we can measure. So volume change measurements we can do normally at the time of consolidation test, consolidation drain test, CD test, consolidation drain test, this is called as. So that we shall also discuss about the various tests which we can perform using the triaxial shear test apparatus. So during consolidation stage of CD test, consolidated drain test actually it is called as consolidated drain test, the volume change is measured by means of burette connected to the sample in the triaxial shear. You can see there are two valves are there. One valve is connected with the drainage burette. It is connected on the top, and the pore pressure measuring tube is connected at the bottom, right? So when you are going to measure the pore water pressure, in that case, drainage valve will be closed. Or when drainage valve is open, at that time the pore pressure valves will be closed. So only one valve will remain in use. Another will we can keep in closed condition. So suppose you want to measure the volume, how much because at the time of consolidation, you are going to apply the sigma 3 pressures. So how much volume is going to change during the CD test, consolidated drain test, that we can measure using the burette, right? So what we have to do, the burette is connected, the volume change is measured by means of burette connected to the sample in the triaxial shear. This is connected, this valve is connected with the burette. So for accurate measurements, the water level, what it said, the water level in the burette should be approximately at the level of center of the sample. Whenever you are going to see, this is the sample, this is the sample here. So the water level normally we are going to maintain at the center of the sample, right? So once the consolidation is going to be applied, or we can say during consolidation, the volume of the sample decreases. Once it is going to be consolidated due to the seal pressure, what is going to happen? The volume decreases and the water level increases in the burette. So the change in the volume of the sample is equal to the volume of water increases in the burette. So during consolidation stage or during the CD test, we can say how much volume of the sample is going to decrease, that we can measure using this volume change measuring device or instruments or operators, we can say. Now we can see these procedures. Now we can see how we can prepare the sample. We have seen the triaxial shear test apparatus. We have seen the triaxial cell, but in triaxial cell, we have kept this soil sample. And how we have to prepare the sample, that we are going to discuss now. We can see the sample for the triaxial shear test. We can use 38 mm by 76 mm or 50 mm by 100 mm. So normally two types of samples we use for the triaxial shear test. So you can see these are the sampling tube. These are the sampling tube. So this sampling tube may be 38 mm by 38 mm diameters, and this may be 100. This may be 50 mm diameters. And here's soil extruder is there. This is also a sample preparation. These tubes are used to collect the soil sample from the field, which will be the undisturbed sample. And here, these samplers we can use to prepare the remolded samples. So you can see the soil extruder. What we are going to do, once you bring the sample from the field in the tube, that tube we have to keep here, and we shall rotate this handle. So once you are going to rotate it, the sample will, from this tube, which we have kept here, will come out, right? So depending upon your requirement, whether you are going to use 38 mm by 76 mm or 50 mm by 100 mm, we shall cut the sample. And that sample we can use for the experiment or for the testing. So this is the use of soil sampling tube and the soil extruder. This is called a sample extruder, we can say. You can see here, some other these devices are also there, some operators, some accessories we can say of the triaxial shear test apparatus. This is membrane, and here O-ring tool is there, and these are the O-rings. It is just like a rubber band, and the porous disc, which we can keep top or bottom depending upon your type of shear test. See here, this stretcher with bulb suction is there, suction bulb. So here also we can, you can use this preparation of the sample, undisturbed sample, especially this is used for the sandy soil, right? And here we are going to put the membrane inside this sampler, and then we can use this bulb so that the air should not be there inside the membrane, right? Now you can see this sampler has been used to prepare the remolded sample. You can see here also this sampler is there. So we can also use this one to prepare the samples. So once you complete the preparation of samples, either a remolded sample or the undisturbed sample, you are going to extract from this pipe, right? Ultimately we are going to get the sample like this way. So once you get the sample, that sample, we shall keep this sample inside the membrane, right? And the top and bottoms O-rings can also be used. So all these accessories we can use depending upon our test, and then we shall keep inside the triaxial shell. Inside the triaxial shell, we shall keep this sample for the testing purpose. Now we shall see so we can see here this is a triaxial shear test apparatus. The probing ring is there to measure the deviator stress. So whenever you are going to apply the pressure, right, in that case for the shearing, at the time of shearing, the dial gauge is also there to measure the vertical displacement. How much vertical height is going to change, right, in the sample, that also we can measure. So that facility is also there. The probing ring is also there, and this dial gauge. So all the arrangements are shown in this triaxial shear test apparatus. So now we can see what are the principle of triaxial shear, what we do normally, how we start the test, what are the logic available behind this test. We shall discuss one by one. Normally, we are going to carry out two stages. Actually, we are going to follow the two stages in the test. One is called as consolidation stage, or it is also called as confining pressures. And next is called as the shear stage, or which is also called as deviator stage. So consolidation stage and shear stage, these two stages are going to finalize the method of determination of the shear strength, right, using the triaxial shear test apparatus. So these two procedures we have to follow. We can see when once you have kept the samples inside the triaxial shell, due to with the help of constant shell pressures, we are going to maintain the sigma 3. हम लोग maintain करते हैं sigma 3 we can maintain it. And this is called as consolidation stage. We have to consolidate the samples. So at the time of consolidation, we have to see whether drainage valve is open or not. If drainage valve is open, then we can say it is the consolidated sample, or if drainage valve is closed, then we can say it is unconsolidated. Similarly, once consolidation is over, or suppose at the time of consolidation itself, we can apply the shear forces, shear stress we can see. So sigma 3, the minimal principal stress, which is going to be applied using the constant cell pressures. So sigma 3 will be working all around. So this is deviator stress you are going to apply. So deviator stress plus sigma 3 will be equal to sigma 1. So this is the shear stress, the shearing stage, and this is the consolidation stage. So now we shall see that whether the valve is open at the time of applying the shear stress on this sample. So is the drainage valve open? Yes. Then we can say drained loading. Or if the drainage valve is not open, we can say undrained loading. So you can see both the situation, consolidation stage and shearing stage. In both the stages, we can see the situation of the drainage valve. And accordingly, we can give the name of the test, right? Let us see in the next slides. So consolidation stage and the shearing stage. So suppose at the time of consolidation stage, if the valve is open, right, at the time of consolidation, how we are going to consolidate this sample? Using the constant cell pressures. That means by applying the known values of sigma 3, minimum principal stress. So sigma 3, so you can see if the drainage valve is open, and at the time of applying this shear stress or the shearing stage, at the time of shearing stage, the valve is also open. So in that case, we can say this test is called as consolidated drained test, right? CD test. This is called as consolidated drained test. The next we can see both stages we are going to consider here, right? To decide the methods of determination of this shear strength parameters. You can see that if this valve is open, and once this sample is going to be consolidated or consolidation is over, and after that, if you are going to apply this shear stress, right? So what we are going to do? Undrained loading means what? Once consolidation is over, then valve is going to be closed. And then after closing the valves, we have to apply the shear stress. So that test is called as consolidated undrained test. That means after completion of the consolidation, that means at that time the valve was open. And once the consolidation is over, then we are going to close the valves and applying the shear stress, right? During the at the time of closing the valves, that's why it is called as consolidated undrained test. Now you can see if during the consolidation and at the time of applying the shear stress, at both the times, if the valves are closed, valve is not open, that is called as unconsolidated undrained test. This is also called a UU test, right? So now we can see here. So as I told you, 3 types of test is there. So one by one, I would like to explain it once again. The first one was the unconsolidated undrained condition. That means the valve is closed either during the consolidation stage and shearing stage. At both the stages, the valves are closed. That's why it is called as unconsolidated undrained test. You can see it is also written here. No drainage permitted during the consolidation stage, and drainage also not permitted in the shearing stage. And this test can be performed very quickly. That's why it is called as quick test. And pore pressure measurement developed cannot be measured during the test. So what we are going to do, minimum 3 samples we are going to use to determine the values of sigma 3 and sigma 1, right? So once you know the values of sigma 3, 3 sigma 3 or 3 sigma 1, in that case, we can draw the 3 Mohr circles. So once you draw the Mohr circle, we can find out you can draw the tangent of the Mohr circles. Wherever it cuts the y-axis, that is the cohesion, and the angle with the horizontal is called as angle of shearing resistance. Actually, we have written here phi cu means consolidated and drained angle of shearing resistance achieved by the consolidated and drain test. Now we can see where for which type of soil this test is applicable. That means UU test. Footing placed rapidly on clay deposits, right? If you are going to construct the footing on a clay deposit in a very short periods, at that time we have to collect the soil sample and test. We have to follow the UU test for that soil to find out the C and phi, cohesion and angle of shearing resistance. Next test we can see, it is called as consolidated and drained condition. That means we have seen two stages, consolidation stage and shearing stage. That means once consolidation is complete, that means drainage valves is open in the beginning, and once consolidation is complete, then we shall close the drainage valve and we shall go for the shearing stage. So that's why it is called as undrained. So consolidated and drained test, we can see that as I told you, in the first stage we have to consolidate the sample, and after that we shall close the valves. In the second stage, no drainage is permitted, and this test is not consolidated and drained test. It is also called rapid test, R test. So once consolidation is complete, then we can measure the pore water pressure during the shearing stage, or we can say second stage. See, why we measure the pore water pressure during the CU test? You can see at the time of UU test, we do not measure the pore water pressure. At the time of CD test, consolidated drain test, we do not measure the pore water pressures. But at the time of consolidated and drain test, we can measure the pore water pressures. What is the reason behind it? I would like to explain. You see, soil inside the ground feels pressure from all the sides. You can take any soil at certain depth from the ground surface. Definitely, that soil experiences the stresses from all the sides, right? So, which is called as consolidation stage, or sigma 3, that we are going to maintain at the time of triaxial, at the time of shear test using the triaxial shear test apparatus. In fact, pore water pressure should be measured when extra load is applied on the soil due to the construction. So sigma 3 is already available because soil is going to experience the force, the pressures or stresses from all the sides. But once you are going to construct the structure on the soil, definitely the shear stage is going to apply, right? That is called a shearing stage. So at that time, what happens? The pore water pressure is going to be developed. Once the structure load is going to work, or we can say, once you are going to start the construction, the soil fills the pore water pressure is going to be applied by the soil, or we can say the pore water pressure is going to be developed. So that's why we measure the pore water pressure at that time. Once you apply the pressure, or once you apply the stresses, at that time only pore water pressure is going to work. Hence, shearing stage only we should measure the pore water pressures. So this is the reasons why we measure the pore water pressures during the consolidated and drained condition only, not during the UU test and CD test. Now we can see where we should use this test, consolidated and drained test. Whenever we are going to construct the embankment, right, over a soft clay deposit, in that case we can collect the soil sample and determine the C and phi, right? Now we can see consolidated drained condition. Here the valve remains open always. You have to remember here. The drainage valves at the time of consolidation remains open, or at the time of shearing stage, the valves also remains open. At both the time, the valves remains open. So when the consolidation is complete, it is sheared at a very slow rate to ensure that fully drained condition exits and the excess pore water pressure is zero. You can see the drainage of the specimen is permitted in both these stages, as I told you. There is no need to measure any pore pressures. The test is known as consolidated test. It is also called a slow test, S test, because it takes long time. And where we can use this test for which type of soil? Excavation or natural slope in a clay. So suppose you want to excavate the soil, or you want to make a natural slope. You want to make a man-made slope, right? After excavation, or for a natural slopes, which is made up of the clay. So that clay should be used, or the clay samples should be taken for the CD test, consolidated drain test. So in this condition, we can use this test. Now we can see what are the merits and demerits of the triaxial test. So there is a complete control over the drainage conditions. When drainage valve should remain open, when it should be kept closed. So test can be easily conducted for all three types of drainage condition. That means CU test, CD test, UU test. Pore water pressure changes and volumetric changes can be measured directly. How much pore water pressure is going to change, how much volume of this sample is going to decrease. So both the things we can measure in this test. The stress distribution on the failure plane is uniform. The specimen is free to fail on the weakest plane. So you are going to use the cylindrical shape of a samples in the triaxial cell, which dimension may be 38 mm by 76 mm, right? 38 mm is the dia, 76 mm is the height, or 50 mm is the dia, or 100 mm is the height. So the failure will take place diagonally, or we can say along the weakest plane. The more circle can be drawn at any stage of the shear. What are the demerits? The apparatus is elaborate, costly, and bulky, right? And the drain test takes a longer period as compared with the direct shear test. Direct shear test also we shall discuss in the next lecture. So normally it takes lots of time compared to the direct shear test, which is easier. So this is all about your today topic. So thank you very much.